Okay. Give it a couple minutes. Give it a couple minutes here. Should be live. Should be live. Hopefully everybody has had a good week. We are on Memorial's Day weekend here, of course. I think we should be good. Welcome to the Wrestling Pod. I'm your host, Carlito Santiago, and today we are here to summarize what went down on Friday Night SmackDown on the USA Network. And, of course, before Saturday Night Main Event, which is tonight. And I'm pretty excited about Saturday Night Main Event. We got 5 matches scheduled now, with the official announcement of Zelina Vega defending her Women's United States Championship against, of course, Chelsea Green in a rematch. Also, some good news. Of course, we found out our 2 people who have made it to the Women's Money in the Bank and, of course, the Men's Money in the Bank. So, sit down, strap in, and get ready for what is going to be an exciting review of SmackDown. Sort of. But if you guys are new to the channel or you haven't already done this, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, comment down below, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a stream from, of course, yours truly. Tomorrow night is the special Saturday Night Main Event, so no prediction. So Friday's show did a little work to hype it up. However, this is not as big. This is not as big as a normal pay-per-view. So the show also focused on Money in the Bank a bit, having 2 qualifying matches. Of course, LA Knight, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Aleister Black. I don't know why I did it that way. And of course, Zelina Vega, Charlotte Flair, and Julia. I think I spelled Julia's name wrong. Let me correct that right now. But you get the picture. We wanted to start off first with a kind of usual comeuppance here. Of course, actually, we started off with a promo, which is nice. But I think it's a promo. Yeah, it's a promo. All right, so after usual shots of superstars walking backstage, we saw Damian Priest attack McIntyre backstage. We went back to the arena to see Tiffany Stratton make her way to the ring to cut a promo. It took about a minute before Alexa Bliss interrupted her. It didn't take long for Flair to join them. She got a ton of heat from the crowd as she spoke. This was a pretty taint segment, which ended with Tiffany leaving as Julia made her way to the match at, of course, Vega. All 3 women traded moves for a couple of minutes, but nobody could get a clear upper hand. Each competitor had brief moments of control that never seemed to last more than a minute. While the pace was quick, it felt like there was a lack of urgency to moves. Each spot was done as part of a predictable sequence, so nothing felt spontaneous. It was a surprise to see 3 talented wrestlers have a match like this. This wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. The last few minutes picked up quite a bit, and everyone also came close to winning at different points. But in the end, Julia scored the victory from the top rope onto Flair's knee, and of course, eventually hit the Northern Light Bomb on Zelina Vega for the 1-2-3 victory. So, Julia won. Just to play here, Flair's robe had an evil Disney Queen vibe. Obviously, probably maybe the evil queen from Snow White. I can't even make the Snow White face, but you know what I'm talking about. Alexa Bliss actually cut a promo here on fucking Tiffany, talking about how they both are kind of the same. They both cashed in on Nia Jax. The only difference is that Alexa Bliss liked Nia Jax, and she doesn't know much about Tiffany. Well, what I can tell you about Tiffany is that it's Tiffy time to reign supreme. Now, I honestly think that maybe, just maybe, it's not going to be someone on SmackDown for the women's. I think it's going to be someone for Raw, because last time we saw, remember, Tiffany Stratton cashed in on Nia Jax for the women's championship. So I think this time they're going to do the men's WWE championship, right, and probably the women's world heavyweight. I mean, they need to really fill up the men's, because the women's is honestly there, like you can obviously see. And I wrote this down last week too. And you can see Julia, of course, and of course Zelina Vega being champion. So we have 3 women in here: Bliss, Roxanne, Julia, and of course Rhea Ripley, which is looking pretty good for a stacked women's card. Not to mention that Triple H also made an important announcement regarding WrestleMania, and I'm here to give you the news on that right now. WrestleMania most likely will be taking place in Las Vegas of next year again and could be the primary spot for WrestleMania. I do not feel any ounce that should be the case. I feel no ounce of I don't see any importance to it other than high prices being the case in Vegas. Okay? Obviously, they're looking for tips because no tax on tips, as you know who made that into law or tried to make that an executive order. But I'm here to tell you that, of course, Las Vegas is going to look to be the primary spot for WrestleMania next year, and probably the year after that. They're not doing New Orleans. What they are doing for New Orleans, and they worked for it, is that August 29th, Saturday, August 29th, 2026, Money in the Bank is brought to you to New Orleans. And this sets it, let me use my phone here. They actually set this shit, because I have SummerSlam due too. SummerSlam is going to be in the Caesar Dome, but SummerSlam of... Actually, might as well just look it up since we're on stream here. Oops. It's going to be in Minnesota, but they haven't... Okay. The first and second. So, SummerSlam will be 2 nights in August, right here, as you guys can see. It will be in the U.S. Bank Arena and, of course, Minneapolis. And then at the end of June, on that Saturday, it will be Money in the Bank. So they're going to do that. That's interesting to me. So they're going to keep it in the United States for this time. They're going to keep it in the United States. That's very interesting. Very interesting. So, also, shout out to Chris Muller for the Bleacher Report. But yeah, so New Orleans will be the place for Money in the Bank next year. Okay, so nobody's confused, okay? And then SummerSlam is in Minneapolis next year, so that's even better. So now, of course, this year's SummerSlam will still be in New Jersey. 2-night special this year, which I can't wait for. But yeah, this match was great. Triple H's announcement was all right. I don't feel good about WrestleMania 42 being in Las Vegas again. I think it should be in London, England. It should be in London. For anybody wondering why it should be in London, well, John Cena made a request for London to have a pay-per-view. And I think London deserves to be at WrestleMania. I think we deserve WrestleMania goes London. I honestly do. I honestly think that. This match is great at B-, and nothing special out of this, so yeah, I agree. Next up, we got Chris Sabian taking on Tommaso Ciampa with maybe no beard. No beard Ciampa. The second match of this week's show featured Chris Sabian taking on Tommaso Ciampa with no beard. But Alex Shelley and Johnny Gargano will also at ringside. Sabian got the better of Ciampa during their initial exchange, but the former NXT champion tapped into the aggression he was known for to take control. This was a fun back-and-forth contest between two guys who know each other pretty well. They focused mostly on technical offense and strikes, but Sabian used a couple of high-flying moves to add some excitement. Shelley took a running boot that was meant for Sabian during a distraction from Gargano. As Ciampa faked a knee injury, Candice LeRae showed up, grabbed the hair of Sabian, and pulled him and hit him, or just kind of pulled his neck down on the ropes, which allowed Ciampa to hit a running knee for the victory. This meant that Candice LeRae is back on TV. She's not been released, even though there's been news reports of that. She's here for the long run. She's here to do all of this. And of course, she is now teamed up with her husband and his best friend. Now we're just probably going to need another female wrestler to be with Candice LeRae, and we don't know who that's going to be. But, because he got rid of Indy Hartwell, so there goes that. This was great. Ciampa winning. This was great to be. Okay, sure. I saw a couple bits of it, but the main part was Candice LeRae coming back and attacking Sabian. So, yeah. One of many acts to have been given a worse theme song is DIY. Their old song was superior in every way. True. The Secret Harvest took on Michin and B-Fab after a backstage segment with Vega and of course Chelsea and all that. Michin and B-Fab wanted to get their hands on the Harvest, so he scheduled it right here for this. But first, we had to, of course, get a little clear-ups as we had Priest and McIntyre get into another brawl in the arena after commercial break. And Priest wanted his pound of flesh. Sound familiar? After that was cleaned up, or, moved to the side, they obviously had to put Piper Niven and Alba Fire into this position, as of course they had Piper Niven and Alba Fire, the Secret Harvest, with Chelsea Green by their side to take on Michin and B-Fab. And the tag team match that was booked following the backstage brawl. Nivens and Fire took control almost immediately and cornered B-Fab for some double team action. Michin got a hot tag, took it to both opponents as Chelsea Green tried to provide a distraction. Vega showed up and kicked that bitch out of the way, so nobody can ruin this match, even though this match is pretty ruined. Michin, of course, and B-Fab would score the victory after Michin would hit her finisher, and then, of course, B-Fab would hit a pretty good little neck breaker move. This match wasn't very long, but it was decent for what it was. And I agree. This is great to see. Nothing much. Jacob Fatu was shown telling JC Mateo that he does not see him as family, but Solo tried to play peacemaker. Say, hey, no, wait a minute. He is family. So, let's keep this together, shall we? B-Fab keeps improving, but she could use some time in NXT. I agree. She could. You could give something for her and Ashanti Adonis, maybe. Maybe. Instead of making him a hottie with a... I'm not even going to finish that sentence. Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo were brought out next to take on, of course, their cousins, Jimmy Uso, or Big Jim, and Rey Fenix. Jacob Fatu and Mateo were out first for a tag team match against Jimmy Uso, and of course, Rey Fenix. Sikoa was at ringside to watch his team to see if they could work together. So Fatu and Big Jim started for their teams. Solo kept trying to tell Jimmy he should return to the family. Mateo tagged himself in before contact was made and had to stare down with Fatu. Uso tried to take advantage, but was quickly grounded by JC. Phoenix and Uso worked together to take out both guys with a high-flying corkscrew. A long time was spent making sure we knew Mateo and Fatu do not get along. That was the main story of this match, so the outcome almost felt secondary. This was a decent bout, but other than some of the stunts Phoenix pulled off, some of the stunts that Phoenix pulled off, it was relatively simple. Mateo ended up hitting his finisher on Uso for the win, which seemed to shock Sikoa. So, graded a B-. Again, Legado del Fantasma had a video package that implied that they would be in action at Worlds Collide, so that's good. R-Truth talks to the audience about John Cena. R-Truth came out for a quick little promo to hype up his match with John Cena on Saturday. Today. He said the man he is fighting is not the same man he idolized. The crowd gave him some what chance, but Truth did a decent job controlling the crowd and getting some pops along the way. This was the most mic time Truth has had in what could be years, and his upcoming match against John Cena will be the biggest spotlight in years for him. Let's hope he's able to pull it off and bring Cena back to his old ways of hustle, loyalty, and respect. This was graded a C+, and I agree. Nothing, we don't get really much from Truth, but to see Truth go to his hero John Cena and have John Cena AA him and have Truth come back and, be like, I've talked to people in the back. They don't trust Cena, but you know what? I know deep down inside that John Cena's still in there. There's still a good side of John Cena. Even if John Cena's going to whoop R-Truth's ass, and this feels so fucking one-sided. Because it is. But nonetheless, Truth did a pretty good job out there, cutting a promo. Some bits were hard to watch because he was trying to get a word out, and not that much crowds were like, yeah, they weren't really, big on Truth. But Truth did what he needed to do to make this match feel important. Not just to Cena, but to Truth. LA Knight, Aleister Black, and Shinsuke Nakamura went in a Money in the Bank qualifying match, and you can already guess who won this match. I mean, the Money in the Bank is going to be in LA, so obviously you need LA Knight, yeah! The men's Money in the Bank qualifier was up next as Black, Nakamura, and Knight competed for one of the opening spots. And next week, Jacob Fatu will be given that opportunity to be in that match. We don't know who the other two competitors are, but we do know Fatu is getting that opportunity. At first, Black and Knight formed a brief alliance to take out Nakamura, leaving them to focus on each other for a little while. Nobody seemed to have a clear advantage over one another, so it was pretty hard to tell who was going to win until the end, which made it more engaging. While Black and Nakamura, both incorporating martial arts into their styles, Knight almost felt like the odd man out of this match, but they all did a great job working together to make this fun. Knight was able to toss Black out after Black hit a Black Mass on Nakamura to score the win and move on to Money in the Bank, which makes sense because, of course, Solo and LA Knight are feuding with each other, so you need to keep that kind of grounded. Nakamura has such a cool character, and it still feels WWE doesn't quite know what to do with him. Yeah, he does have a cool character. They don't know what to do with him. Cut him some more promos. Have him be like the Karrion Kross of SmackDown a bit. Like Karrion Kross is on Raw, pulling strings like a fucking puppet. Now have Nakamura kind of do the same thing, but like, lurk in the shadows behind the scenes, like Karrion Kross kind of does. Like lurk in the shadows and then pick your targets, But for our main event, we had, of course, the Street Profits and Fraxium for the tag team titles. And Fraxium have a pretty banger theme song, if you ask me. I don't know how they do it, but they got a banger-ass theme song. This week's main event saw Nathan Frazier and Axiom take on Montez Ford and Angel Dawkins for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Got a little Road Dogg Billy Gunn going on here. The match started with about 20 minutes left in the show, so they had plenty of time to make sure they made this as entertaining as their previous encounter. Dawkins pushed Axiom to the mat to establish his strength during his initial lockup as Ford taunted him from the apron. They quickly turned up the intensity and made this just as competitive as their last match. Dawkins played a great base for the high flyers, while Ford was able to keep up with Fraxium's speed and agility at every turn. Both teams came close to winning with their finishers, but after a few close calls, DIY and Candice LeRae ran to the ring. Then the Motor City Machine Guns ran to the ring. Ford took all four men out of it with a huge dive. As Ford prepared for a frog splash, the lights go out. Actually, sort of like, hold on. Sort of like this. And the lights go out. And then the lights came back on. And the Wyatt Six returned. They were in the ring. Dexter Lumis topped up to the top rope, threw Montez Ford off the top rope. Eric Rowan went out and did a crossbody splash onto Gargano and one of the Motor City Machine Guns. Of course, Nikki Cross then attacked Candice LeRae. And then, of course, they used this opportunity to hit a power bomb. Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy hit a power bomb on top of, I think, Angela Dawkins or Montez Ford. And then, of course, Eric Rowan then threw in, of course, Johnny Gargano for only to have one of the best endings to this. As, of course, we saw Uncle Howdy hit a Sister Abigail to Johnny Gargano and stare in the middle of the ring with a piece of cake to end the show. Because, of course, it was Bray Wyatt's birthday. Rest in peace, brother. Everything shatters. And so did the ending of the show. This was graded a fucking A-, but I'm giving this an A. Even though it was no contest, fuck this shit. We're going to definitely see more tag team matches between these two teams. So it's not like they're going anywhere. As for now, it's only best to say that we're going to see more of the Profits, Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, and possibly the Wyatt Six now getting a whole control of this tag team division as they fucking carried the show. And of course the women's. They carried the fuck out of this show. With none of the major stars like Cody, Randy, Cena, or Roman Reigns even showing up. So, with this, Friday Night SmackDown saw Knight and Julia qualify for the Money in the Bank matches. A few other developments, but for the most part, this was a definition of a filler episode, with the Wyatt 6 being a great addition in the ending of this all. Saturday Night Main Event was addressed mostly from R-Truth's promo, so it didn't feel as if WWE was hyping it the same way it would with the PLE, because it's not a PLE, and I've been saying this for a month or so, so it's not a PLE, so it's not going to get a predictions. NXT Battlegrounds, I don't cover NXT, so again, there might be other people who do, but I don't. The matches we got were all relatively entertaining, but once again, the Street Profits and Frag Team stole the show with their performance. WWE has found something special with the duo of Axiom and Frazier. They have worked well with every single team that they have fought, and they continue to be one of the biggest highlights on the Blue brand every week. Ending the show with the return of the Wyatt 6 seems to indicate they may go after the tag team titles, which is a great start for the team. Great idea. But Fraxium has an argument for deserving another shot at the gold because, of course, they got interrupted and there was no contest, and the Wyatt 6 ruined that. So we could have a qualifying here, where we're going to have these three teams, the Wyatt 6, Gargano, and Ciampa, and, of course, the Motor City Machine Guns in a triple threat match, possibly, to then determine who faces Axiom and Frazier, to then, of course, will face the tag team champions. You could also add in the mixture of Solo Sikoa or Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo to the mix because right in the thing here, there was an interesting moment with the Profits and Sikoa backstage earlier show, but it might not lead to anything. Again, could lead to something, but no indication that it's going to. Just an interesting moment. So this show was a filler episode, and this was graded a B-, and honestly, I think we should be upgraded to a B. It's been doing pretty good so far with the Y6 return. The tag team and the women's division have really done their best here to kind of keep this all together. So, again, pretty good fucking episode of SmackDown. Filler episode, but Money in the Bank, of course, brings you a lot of things. But, of course, as we can check this out, we do have Saturday Night Main Event coming your way here. Of course, from the WWE, 5 matches. The World Heavyweight Championship match, Jey Uso and Logan Paul. A tag team match between CM Punk, Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Breakker. John Cena and R-Truth. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest inside of a steel cage. And, of course, Zelina Vega defending the Women's Championship against Chelsea Green. I don't have to predict these, but, again, a lot of championship matches, a couple championship matches going on. But, yeah, we're going to get, about 2 hours of this show. So, expect that. I can't wait for tonight. Also, do not miss that NXT Battlegrounds will be here for you guys as well. NXT Battlegrounds is in Tampa as they're doing the Tampa Takeover. So, of course, we got a lot of things going on. Obafemi and Miles Bourne, Stephanie Vakir and Jordan Grace, Joe Hendry and Trick Williams, Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks. Of course, a 6-man tag team match. And, of course, Sol Ruca and Kalani Jordan, 6 matches for this, and I cannot wait for this show either. This is also going to be in Tampa. This is also going to be the next day. This is going to be tomorrow. And then, of course, we're going to have Raw and NXT both in Tampa, Florida. So, again, should be a good one. Should be a great one. But I will see you guys on Tuesday after Memorial Day. I hope you guys all have a great Memorial Day. I will. We will be watching Raw. But yeah. I'll see you guys Tuesday. And let's just check because we got. And then next week I will be setting up our. Actually, I'll do it now since we're here. I'll do it after the stream, but I will be setting up the Money in the Bank prediction video. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Peace.